Remember that time Sonic got summoned into another world? Wait, not that one.
Brave knight, swift as the wind, heed my call.
There we go. That's the one. Now, you might be wondering why Sonic the Hedgehog is falling from the sky, or why he has two chili dogs, or more importantly, why he's surrounded by knights, wizards, and demons. Well, before you jump to conclusions, I introduce you to 2009's Sonic and the Black Knight for the Nintendo Wii. This game was part of the 2010 storybook series, this one in particular being the successor to its previous entry, 2007's Sonic and the Secret Rings. These games featured Sonic literally being isekai'd into the fantasy worlds of King Arthur or even the Arabian Nights. Despite such a unique and fresh take on the Sonic franchise, it was met with rather poor reception and quite valid critiques, such as, "Why does Sonic have a sword? Game bad." On a serious note, the games were primarily critiqued for their rather janky motion controls, as they belonged to the home console of the Nintendo Wii. Despite this, many people praise this game for its great story and meaningful writing for Sonic as a character. Nonetheless, whether you think this game is an underrated gem or a waste of time, let's talk about the hidden potential of Sonic and the Black Knight. Continuing from where we left off, Sonic is summoned into a completely unknown world by the wizard Merlina to save her from King Arthur and his knights of the underworld. After catching his oh-so-important chili dogs, Sonic takes a brief look around and states with a cocky grin,
"Oh, I get it. No problem. I'm used to stuff like this."
And with a blue blur, he easily wipes out the monsters surrounding them. After he finishes showing off, he's immediately prepared to face off against an intimidating figure with comically large shoulder pads, King Arthur. As tensions rise and the two prepare to duel, Merlina interferes and stops Sonic, teleporting them away to safety, hence concluding the introduction to Sonic and the Black Knight. The story of Sonic and the Black Knight follows Sonic on his journey to becoming a true knight and defeating King Arthur and his knights of the underworld. While some believe that Sonic having a sword is stupid, I personally think it's a really cool idea and a perfect addition to Sonic's already existing moveset. Accompanying Sonic on this quest is the sacred sword Caliburn, a talking sword who also serves as Sonic's mentor and ally throughout the game. As you progress, Sonic proves himself as a true knight through defeating evil monsters, rescuing and doing good deeds for townspeople, and helping others grow as characters. Despite the game's reputation, Sonic and the Black Knight's story is known for its best portrayal of Sonic's character, and I personally can agree that this is one of my favorite iterations of Sonic, being up there with Unleashed. Throughout the story, Sonic shows how he stays true to what he believes in, and what he believes makes one a true knight. His kind and carefree attitude rubs off on every character he meets, and it shows. The character he leaves the most impact on is Merlina, and without spoiling too much, he helps her come to terms with her fear of death and learn to live life to the fullest in the time she has. Sonic and the Black Knight's story has always given an extremely anime vibe to me. Whether it's the fact that Sonic literally gets isekai'd into another world, or that the story has a very similar narrative element to shonen anime. This is something that Sonic as a franchise has always had, that of which being a very anime-like flair to his stories and games. And this isn't only reflected in the story, it also heavily shines in the gameplay of Black Knight. Something that many people don't know about the storybook games is that they have a lot of depth to their gameplay. It is clear that the developers put a lot of thought and care into the combat and gameplay of Black Knight. However, I feel that all of these aspects of the gameplay were made without taking the Wii's motion controls into consideration. While being a step up from Secret Ring's lack of a nunchuck and auto-running motion controls, Black Knight gives you much more control over Sonic's movement in combat. Despite this, many people still dislike the Wii's motion controls and were not fond of having to shake the controller in order to swing Sonic's sword. That's why when I decided to return to this game, I played Black Knight with the controls remapped to an Xbox 360 controller. This was possible because of the Dolphin emulator, so I was able to play at 60 FPS and with some proper controls. This completely changed the game for me. In Sonic's combat, you're given access to many combinations for both offense and defense. Sonic's offensive capabilities allow him to use normal attacks such as lunge and dash attacks, but more notably, he is able to use his homing attack to connect chain attacks, allowing you to slash through hordes of demons on some anime level shit. It's some of the most satisfying things ever when you manage to lane 15 chain kills. But don't forget Sonic's Soul Surge, an ability that allows him to either attack with precision and power with proper timing, or even allow him to boost at insane speeds, akin to the boost in Sonic Unleashed. These abilities are powerful enough on their own to allow you to completely beat the game without ever unlocking half of what this game's combat has to offer. In Black Knight, you have access to 3 sword styles, as well as 3 characters. Focusing specifically on Sonic, he has access to the Knight style, Cavalier style, and the Paladin style. Each of these focusing on a specific attribute, and with each style, you can unlock many abilities unique to that specific style. These abilities are unlocked by proficiency and followers. Every time you finish a level, you gain a certain amount of stars and followers depending on how you do. The more followers you obtain, the more skills you can unlock, and the more proficiency you gain with a specific style, the more you can get out of that specific style. Upon maxing out these styles and gaining a certain amount of followers, you can even unlock a special ability specific to that style, such as the Cavalier styles and Crest of Wind, an ability that allows you to exceed the maximum speed Sonic can run at the cost of 1 ring. This shit makes you move so ridiculously fast, and it's adrenaline-inducing when you can absolutely blitz through a stage. Another is the Crest of Fire for the Paladin style, a move that allows Sonic to keep slashing and running at the same time. This move is by far the best in the game, as it allows you to completely run through enemies without delay. However, it highlights one of this game's biggest problems. Remember how I said that you gain followers every time you beat a level? It sounds like a cool idea, to prove yourself as a knight by gaining the following of everyone in the kingdom. However, that great idea loses its appeal once you realize the Crest of Fire requires you to obtain all the followers in the game, which doesn't sound too bad until you see that the max amount of followers in the game is 25,000. This means that in order to even get close to reaching max followers, you need to replay every level in the game to a mind-numbing amount of times until you get the max amount of followers for each stage in the game. The tedious amount of grinding for followers may appear to be a massive turnoff for players, but that small inconvenience is completely overshadowed by the absurd amount of other content this small spin-off game has to offer. From crafting legendary weapons to obtaining special titles to maintaining good or bad reputation in the levels you play, Sonic and the Black Knight has so much more I could talk about, but it would make this video much longer than I'd like it to be. Regardless of its underrated reputation, Sonic and the Black Knight clearly had a lot of ambition, passion, and thought put into it, especially for a spin-off Wii game from 2009. I truly do feel that under different circumstances and a different control scheme, this game could have been received much differently when it originally released, and I truly do encourage anyone new to or familiar with the Sonic franchise to give this game an honest shot. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching this video, and it just so happens to be my first as well. This was a special video for me to make, as Sonic and the Black Knight was actually my first game on a console and my first ever Sonic game. I heavily recommend trying this game out on Dolphin with Xbox controls, and I'll even put my control config down in the description for anyone to try out. If you enjoyed this content, feel free to follow along on the future things I decide to post on this channel. I hope to see you in the next one, and make sure to live life to the fullest in the time you have.